Welcome to Montage Region, to another CoH2 replay cast. This time it's going to be featuring the greatness of the great DEPULSOOOOOOOOOR over here, who sent in the replay, playing as Wehrmacht. And we're gonna have as well another Wehrmacht player, Barbecue. Welcome to, and we're gonna have two more players. Of course, this is a 4v4. Wanu playing as the OKW, and Austin Powers playing as the Wehrmacht. And on the enemy team, we do have Propulus playing as the USF, Drink II Rickard or Drink 2 Rickard playing as Soviets, Sir Lancelot playing as Soviets, and Hold the Line in all caps playing as the British. Very fitting. And he's starting with an MG. Oh my god. So, Montage Region. This map is very weird and everyone hates it. Why? Well, 2 fuel points on one end of the map, a smattering of strategic points everywhere, and 2 munitions in the center. With the VPs, there's 5 of them in a like V, and then the left side is pretty much useless. There's only like 1 VP and a few strategic points. And on the right side is where everyone fights because of the 2 fuel points, and there's a lot of weird cover and weird line of sights on this end of the map that makes it so a lot of people don't really like it. So we will see how the greatness of the great DEPULSOOOOOOOOOR holds up. He will go for 2 MGs at the start. Very interesting, considering that there's a lot of buildings over here at the center. So I'm guessing he will want to be using those with his MGs. And possibly, I would suggest after the second MG going for a second Pioneer Squad, getting a tier 1 and getting out a mortar, because that would be very, very useful on this map if it comes to a very stalemate type deal, which it does look like some of these players do want to go for stalemate, especially here Sir Lancelot went for the tier 2 and the Maxim. Over here, Drink to Rickard also going for the Maxim, and the British going for the Vickers. It's going to be pretty much guaranteed, and also the American going for the Ambulance. They're all preparing for the inevitably stalemate continuation of this game. So Barbecue going for Mechanized Assault instantly, getting out some Assault Grenadiers, but they're going to be forced away by the Riflemen. They tried to get into this building, but there was only a couple of spots where they could fire at the Riflemen. And now they will be forced to retreat off across open ground, and the Riflemen will pick them off. The little blob of the Americans already forming up. It's going to be very, very good for the Allies to get that wipe going. Assault Grenadiers, of course, 280 manpower, very expensive. On the other side, we have the OKW player Wanu doing some pretty good work against the British, forcing away one of the infantry sections. And the greatness of the great DEPULSOOOOOOOOR is starting to already be a defensive person, and he's going to start to plant a lot of barbed wire around, which is good because it will allow him to hold the munitions area a lot better because, of course, as you can see, there's some free tank traps over here provided by the map, and with the barbed wire, the enemy's gonna have to flank around either over here or over here, and in both ends of the area. If you can put like an MG over here, then he will have the complete line of sight over here. And I just said over here too much. He will have the complete line of sight of this sort of clearing over here, and he will have the ability to pretty much easily repulse any kind of assault. So we have Hold the Line going for Mobile Assault, just picked it, and he tried to get his MG in this building. This building is very, very strong, as you can see, but we do already have mortars by Austin Powers, which is really, really good idea. That will help him out very greatly on the right side against the British. And now the Pioneers from the greatness of the great DEPULSOOOOOOOR are starting to upgrade flamethrowers, which are going to be really useful to destroy these houses, and just capturing the munitions points, which is going to allow the Germans to have both of the fuel points and both of the munitions points, which of course gives them an immense advantage indeed. And the MG42 will be forced to at least abandon the house because of the mortar barrage over here by Drink to Richard. Going for the mortar. As you can see, the mortar is an excellent choice when the enemy goes for the defensive playstyle. And some Grenadiers have attempted to push up from the greatness of the great DEPULSOOOOOOOR, but they were suppressed by the Maxim machine gun. But he does manage to snatch the building off the enemy. No, why are you retreating? You should just stay in the building. He should have just stayed in the building, or now he should just retreat. Yeah, good retreat. Just in time to not get wiped. On the left side, also the Germans prevailing with the victory point being under the control of Mr. Assault Grenadiers over here, Barbecue. and pretty much it's starting to become a stalemate, as expected. So the mortars are going to be a very crucial weapon for this. Some Molotovs upgrading would be really nice for the Soviet players, because of course these houses give out plenty of opportunities to use Molotovs effectively. None of them so far have gone for any upgrades, but if they should decide to go for the Molotov, it would be very nice for them indeed. Propolis going for Rip Rifle Company. Now, he's got a lot of manpower available, and he's just gone for a captain, which tells me that he's going to go for pack howitzers, because all this manpower... Oh, and we have the Molotov upgrade for Drink to Richard, so that was pretty well done on his part to get that. Oh, nice mortar shots by Drink to Richard's mortar squad, allowing the consorts to push up and deal some good damage to the Grenadiers without having the MG to worry about. But we do have the Pioneers with flamethrowers being repositioned to reinforce the Grenadiers, and they will easily be able to get the conscript squads to retreat. We also have a lot of American and Soviet units over here pushing, but we also have a combined Soviet and British push on the right side. So it looks like the Allies are concentrating both in the center and the right, which is what, in my opinion, is the correct decision to do on this map. But Assault Grenadiers person over here, Barbecue, is going to use this opportunity to get a bit of pushing going on the left side. He's also already gotten Panzer Grenadiers with Panzer Shreks already at 6 minutes into the game, which is not too important to get AT so early, but he will be well prepared if any kind of Allied light vehicles come out, like the Stuart that Populous could be getting soon. He also went for bazookas on his riflemen, which is very interesting. He's also very scared of German light vehicles, such as the 222. A bunker was being built by the greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOOOR, who does have a lot of Panzerwerfer bulletins, so I'm guessing he will try to go for the long game and get to tier 4 underway as soon as possible. He also went for a sniper, which might be interesting, an interesting solution to these Maxims, though the sniper does have a chance to miss when shooting at buildings, so he's not as effective as he could be. Of course, there's also the fact that the sniper is very vulnerable to mortars. If a mortar shot lands on him, it will be pretty bad. But if he can stay alive, get a bit of veterancy, and then rank up and late game have a bit of a few artillery units like Panzerwerfers or perhaps the Festung Support Doctrine's howitzer, he will be able to use the sniper to spot for those artillery units, thanks to his cloak. So a nice flank by Barbecue with his Assault Grenadier squad. He will be able to get into the back lines of the Americans and Soviets over here, but he will be forced away, and the rifleman will take the house, smartly taking the other house to avoid getting hit by the rifleman squad. But he will be under fire of 2 Maxim machine guns. And right now, Greatest of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOOR is in no shape to help him out and go for the center push from the other side, sandwiching the enemy. So these Assault Grenadiers will have to retreat. We also have the, Austin Powers going for another sniper, and he's also got a lot of resources saved up, which tells me he's going for a tier 4, especially also because he's got Panzer bulletins and Panzerwerfers. So we're going to see a lot of tier 4 out of the Germans, and I would kind of like Barbecue to go for tier 3. He does have the resources for it. He's got a lot of the Stug bulletins as well, so that tells me that he might be going for the Stug spam, but I was more thinking Panzer 4s, and maybe just one early Panzer 4 and then Stugs would be really good for the Axis. So the 2 machine guns from the Greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOR are up, and they have been healed up by his medic bunker in the base, which is good. But at the same time, I would kind of suggest that he really should pay more attention to these machine guns that are in the base, not doing anything. They should be moved up to the front as soon as possible once they're reinforced. But other than that, so far, Greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOR doing some pretty good work in the center. Wehrmacht really excels at this kind of static warfare, so he's definitely been using a few of the strengths of the Wehrmacht to his advantage, like the sniper and the machine gun, MG42. Again, I would have liked to see at least one mortar out of him, but he's been doing without, and he's going for a half-track, which is very interesting because he does have 140 munitions, which means that the flame half-track is a possibility, but also the not upgrading the half-track and using it as a reinforcement point is also a possibility. So we're going to have to see how he decides to play it out, which might be a very big pivotal point for the match. And we have the conscripts and bazooka horde going to be nicely just rushing the machine guns before they're able to set up. Water. One tip I do have is when you're moving up your machine guns from the base, just attack move with them, because they will automatically set up once they see an enemy. So that will prevent situations like these. And the sniper is in big trouble. There's a lot of enemy units firing on him, especially the Captain Thompson and the conscripts with their rifles, and they easily destroyed the sniper with the free squads. And Hold the Line is starting to go for the emplacements, which is very interesting because he went for the mobile assault and not the advanced emplacements. I'm not sure if he had advanced emplacements though. So we have the 222 Scout Cars for Austin Powers moving up. It's kind of a late 222, and we do have the counter on the field, the Piats for the British, and we're also hopefully going to have soon some anti-tank grenades by the Soviets. Soviets going for tier 3, and a T-70 is on the way, so the Panzerschrecks that Barbecue was building will become useful. And we also have a flank over here by the conscripts. This is going to fail because of the machine gun repositioning. We also have the Flame Half-Track attempting to push back these Allied forces that are coming up, but the bazooka spam will destroy it fairly easily. We do have the machine gun setting up to deal some heavy damage to the Allied units over here. We do have 2 pack howitzers by Populous. As said, the pack howitzer is an excellent tool to deal with static fortifications of the Germans, and these machine guns will soon learn that to their detriment, especially as Populous uses his rear echelons to recapture this Maxim. It will be decrewed by the machine guns, the MG42s, and the MG42s will also pin the captain, but the MG42s are being pretty much pummeled by these pack howitzers. But we do have a flank over here by Barbecue, who has managed to defeat the Soviet player that was chasing him, and so now he will be able to push on this ambulance point for the Americans. So that's really, really bad. The Americans really need to defend the ambulance and let it live. It will be able to escape. The ambulance having really bad acceleration, but once it does accelerate, it is a very fast vehicle. As you can see, it's taking a long time for it to accelerate, but now it's starting to go fairly fast, and it's even faster, of course, going forward. We have a Luke's going up from Wanu, so Wanu going for both Mechanized Regiment Headquarters and Battle Group Headquarters. Battle Group Headquarters being placed in a fairly good spot with the retreat point being unlocked. That will definitely help them out in doing some counter pushes against the British on the right side. The British have been able to pretty much secure the right side fuel points, both of them, so that's a very big turnaround for the Allies, who have managed to secure both the munitions and the fuel points. But the munition points are going to be recaptured by Barbecue and the greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOOR, who have managed to repulse the Allied units on the left, thanks to a nice flank by Barbecue with his assault grenadiers. So the 444 over here is going to be very scary for the T-70 actually. The 444, which is obviously the 2 Scout cars, the 444 can beat the T-70, so they should be very careful. And especially with these Panzerschrecks supporting the T-70, we'll have to pretty much sit back and use its long range accuracy to its advantage. Shock troops are up for the Soviets, who have gone for shock rifle frontline tactics. No surprise there. We have a pretty big massacre of Allied units over here by the 444s and the Panzer II Lukes. So pretty much the 20mm autocannons tearing up the Allied infantry fairly mercilessly over here, especially because of the blobbing that was going on for the Allies. These autocannons do have a small but existing splash arc that they can use to their advantage. Pretty much the splash damage not being tank round worthy, like you know, cannon worthy, but it's still very, very present and can deal a lot of damage. So the T-70 from Drink Richard is on the field, but it is, in my opinion, a mistake to get this T-70 for Drink Richard. Drink Richard was in a much better position with the amount of fuel that he's got in his Katyusha bulletins. I mean, the penetration really isn't that great on the Katyusha, but you get what I mean. To get for tier 4 and get out a Katyusha in first place to just smash the blobs of Barbecue and the greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOR using the houses to his advantage. The greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOR going for 2 Panzer Grenadier squads, which could be a good choice considering the enemy is lacking in anti-infantry. The Americans are going to go with a lot of bazookas on their riflemen, and also their lack of lieutenant will be a detriment to their anti-infantry capabilities, and the Soviets in general just not being not having too much good anti-infantry units, especially if they don't go for shock troops. So it looks like a Jaeger light infantry squad will be completely massacred by the Bofors, instantly massacred. Pretty much no chance whatsoever. Fuck you, Lucky Boy from Wanu. I mean, it's not really Lucky Boy, it's just you failing, because you should have known that the Bofors was there. Actually, do they know? Well, of course now they know that the Bofors is there, but You're welcome. Yeah, he's not talking about you, Procopulus. Yeah, pretty much. Nice usage of Panzer Treks by the Greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOOR, gonna be destroying the T-70 that was Panzer posted earlier by Barbecue. So nice following up on his ally. Good coordination by these two players. Their coordination has definitely helped them out in repulsing the allies on their side and securing these munitions points and the victory point, even though the victory point has been mostly Barbecue's to take and hold. So the Austrian is attempting to push up against the Bofors emplacement, but it will not succeed in destroying it 1v1. But there is a Lux and two Panther Trek squads helping him out, and it will be pretty much a massacre. We have a Centaur coming from the backside of the British, so the Centaur will be able to at least defeat some of these German vehicles, but there's also a pack, and an S-276 is attempting to push up to destroy this Austrian, but he's also under the arc of fire of the pack. He's going to take some damage. Of course, the Panther Treks are going to be the main target of the Centaur because it is the most dangerous unit for it, and the Panther Trek squad is going to go down. Also, the S-276 is attempting to corner this Austrian, but the Austrian will be able to escape through this back door, and the Lux is in big trouble from the Austrian, or rather the Centaur AA tank, and the Centaur AA will be easily able to destroy the main gun and finish off the Lux. On the left side, we also have a push by Barbecue, who's not being supported by the Greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOR because his units are still... Once click on him, his units are still healing up and coming back from the base. So the Barbecue's pretty good flank maneuver, using the buildings to his advantage, will pretty much go to waste because he pushed up without his ally, so that's not that great. And we also have Austin Powers over here with a sniper that got after 11 kills. Unfortunately, the Greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOR sniper was destroyed earlier, so that's just a bit of a shame for him. Nice anti-tank grenade gonna go down on the 222. One of the 222s, rather, one of the 444s went down already, so it's only a 222 now. We have a Stuka out from 1-0, so I thought he was going to go for a King Tiger with his mechanized regiment headquarters and battle group headquarters, and an excellent Stuka actually pretty much smashes the Soviet support weapon line. So I'm going to have to be eating my words there. In my opinion, the Stuka is not the best vehicle all the time, but right now it can work out, especially because of the way the Soviet player is blobbing. We have a double Su-76 purchased by him, which is really good. It's a really good idea to get Su-76s if you're going to be stalling for the S2 or the KV-8 flamethrower tank, just because of the fact that the Su-76 is a very cheap and very versatile anti-tank gun. So you want to be getting these kinds of units if you're winning on these big late-game armor vehicles, because you don't want to be wasting too many resources on perhaps Su-85s, which are more of a commitment to Tier 4. So Tier 4 is up for Drunk Richard, and teching choices for now, we still have Tier 3 for, what's his name? Sir Lancelot, and we have Tier 3 being built by Hold the Line, but the problem is he still hasn't upgraded neither Hammer nor Anvil. He does have the resources for it though. He might be going for a Cromwell to complement the Centaur, but I would personally go for Hammer Tactics and a Comet. Waiting for one would be good. The VP situation is very much in favor of the Axis. They've been pretty much securing most of the VPs, but we do have the first Easy 8 out of Propopulus. It's been taking a bit of damage, but not too severe. Probably just a Panzerfaust out of the Greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOR, who has conserved both of his Grenadier squads, but he hasn't had the munitions to upgrade them. He's gone for a recon, which is really good because it's been allowing him to see where the some of the Katyushas and just general backline ally units are. Very good usage of recon. Now he will see also the AT gun position. So the Axis right now will know not to push up with their armor along the street and just take out the AT gun first. But it does look like a RD ability from the AT gun will try to get the German infantry to not come close, but it will be pretty much a failure because of the low accuracy of this ability. On the right side, it's pretty much still a stalemate. The British have been able to still hold, and they've built another Bofors. We do have some Stukas being fired at the British defenses emplacement, but the brace structure will pretty much keep these buildings safe. We also have some incendiary artillery barrages being thrown in by Sir Lancelot, which will also burn the forest and help clear the way for a bit of flanking, which is definitely what the Soviets want to be doing. But we do have a big allied push over here against the machine gun from the Greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooooor, but the Greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooor going for an excellent strafing run. Actually, that was not the Greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooor, that was Austin Powers, who has gone for Assault Support Doctrine. So we're going to be seeing some open blitzes hopefully soon. He does have a bit of manpower, but he's going to be using most of his manpower to reinforce, and we might see a Tiger soon out of him. Barbecue also going for a Panther, so tier 4 out for him as well. I would have expected a tier 3 out of him, but it was not the case. 2 Easy 8s are on the field for the Populace, who also has a Bazooka Blob, so the Panthers will not be the correct weapon to deal with this guy. This guy will definitely be requiring a Panzerwerfer to deal with. So I'm guessing that the Greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooooor is going to go for a Panzerwerfer next, because he does have the resources for it, and I would definitely enjoy a Panzerwerfer out of him. Another thing that he could have done is he could have done a 222 Scott Car and upgraded it with a spotting scope, but unfortunately on his side, the line of sight blockers that are around with the true sight system pretty much make it a not very useful ability. Excellent Panzerwerfer out of Barbecue. Gonna be dealing some good damage to the American infantry. Unfortunately, was a little bit mispositioned because he thought that the Americans were gonna be closer into the cap circle of the victory point. We also have a Panther coming from him, of course, and he's also got the ability to call off a Tiger later, but he's still 5 VPs away, or rather 4 CPs away from the Tiger. Wano went for Scavenge Doctrine, of course, because he was calling off Jaegers. Now, the Jaegers are a good anti-infantry unit, but I don't think the Scavenge Doctrine is the correct decision right now, as the Austin would not be too useful of a unit. I believe he also called off an Austin earlier. And wait, did he lose a Stuka? No, it's still here firing. It's got 12 kills, which is really good for this early on in the game. It destroys not only a mortar pit, but also a house with British infantry garrison in it. So, rather, a machine gun garrison in it. So that was an excellent Stuka, still proving its worth. Excellent push by Barbecue, going to be dealing some wipes to the Soviets. A Maxim is attempting to... Ooh, nice. Mortar shot from the Soviet player. Going to be destroying the... destroying the machine gun, but we also have the Greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooooor using the Panther to hunt down for some Katyushas, it seems. He's going to find a Zissou half-track, but it's not going to be too great because there's an AT gun, an Su-76, and a Easy-8 that are coming for him. Main gun is going to be destroyed by a Easy-8 shot, and he's going to be flanked by another Easy-8 from the side, so that's pretty much going to be the end of the Panther. Side shot going to be bouncing off because there's, of course, no side armor on this game, which makes the Panther much better than it was historically, because historically the side armor was so weak that it could be penetrated by AT rifles. But in this game, since there's no side armor, pretty much the 80%... Okay, I'm going to actually pause to explain this. In case you don't know, in this game there's no side armor like there was historically. Basically, about 80% of the front of the tanks are considered front armor, and the remaining 20% rear is rear armor. So if you shoot at the side over here, then you're hitting rear armor, but if you shoot at the side over here, you're hitting front armor. That's how it works. And with a tank like the Panther, which has a really weak rear armor, because of course, historically a really weak side and rear armor, but a really strong front armor, as of course historically a TAD, then it is a very huge difference between it being a very hard vehicle to use and a pretty much mechanized juggernaut of doom, because it's also a really quick vehicle. Barbecue going for a Stuggy is a bad choice in my opinion. He's floating a lot of manpower, so a pack gun and a machine gun would have been a really good choice out of him. The pack MG42 combo would have been really nice for him. He does have a lot of MGs, but more are not bad at any time in the game. But we also have an Easy 8 push over here, but this Easy 8 is not on free fire. He's on prioritized vehicles, which of course does help him out when the Panther comes in. But we also have the Panzer Raiders and Panzer trucks out of the Greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooor that have managed to destroy one of the Easy 8s and saving the Panther. Also, the second Easy 8 taking a lot of damage by the Panther trucks. We also have some artillery barrages being called down. Nice White Phosphorus was instrumental in wiping out one of the Greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooor's machine gun squads. We also have a huge blob of American units. This is perfect for some bundle grenades, honestly, by Panzer Raiders. We also have a Stuka dive bomb being called in by the Greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooor just over here, and it will massacre the Allied units, destroying 2 pack howitzers and taking out the veteran seat that they had, destroying 1 rear echelon squad. No, one rifleman squad, it seems, and the ambulance. So that was about how much manpower? 380. Yeah, 380, 600, 760, and 760 plus 280 plus 250. So 1,360, 1,380 manpower destroyed by that one 160 munitions run. So that was an excellent usage of Stuka Dive Bombing Strike. We have a Sherman Firefly being built, 2 Sherman Fireflies by Hold the Line over here. So he's going to be staying true to his name and going for the more defensive approach instead of the Comets that I would have loved him to get. We also have him going for a forward assembly. He's been losing a lot of ground on the right side, especially because Sir Lancelot, his ally, has been hit hard by artillery and combined attacks by the enemy, so he's not able to support him in the crucial engagements toward the right side when the enemy has been artillerying the defenses of the British. So when the British really do need the support of the Soviet player, we have an excellent cluster bombing strike by Austin Powers, almost destroying the Su-76, but also smashing a conscript infantry squad with a Panzerschreck and a Maxim machine gun. We also have another Stuka strike, which destroys the Su-76. In the center, we have the greatest of the great Depulso pushing up with his Panther. He's lost one of his Grenadier squad, but his other Grenadier squad has managed to pick up one bazooka off the enemy, which unfortunately doesn't allow him to get a MG42 light machine gun to support his anti-infantry efforts. We also have Drink Richard going for a Katyusha. The Katyusha has 8 kills and it's just finished a barrage on Barbecue's infantry, who does look to be very thinned out at the moment. He's lost quite a bit of units, but he really needs to actually freeload off his allies' medic bunker. We have a sound bug over here, hearing the explosion of a tank from the other side of the map. Not really sure what it is. We have the S2 being called in by Sir Lancelot. He's going to flank a German force. Actually, the S2 flanking is really weird, but he does destroy a Panzer IV. We also have the greatness of the great Depulso pushing up with his Panther. He's going to be pretty much fearlessly pushing past this Sis gun, and is going to get into the face of this Easy-8. Easy-8 very lucky to escape with pretty much 10% HP. One more shot from the Panther is going to destroy it, but he's going to be nicely turning the corner and being out of line of sight. We also have some Partisans tank hunters by Drink Richard, who has chosen Partisan Doctrine. Now, a very late Partisan pick. In my opinion, Partisans are best picked early game to make usage of both the anti-tank troops, which are better at the late game, and also taking out early vehicles by the Germans like the Luchs, which did a lot of damage to the Allies and the P2s, but also the utilizing the Partisan troops, which are better in the early game. Now, we also have Panzer IV going down. On the right side, it doesn't look like the Germans aren't having as much success as they're having on the left side. They did destroy a Sherman Firefly and the Centaur Akak tank. Also, another Su-76 was destroyed. But we do have some Panzerschrecks some Panzerschrecks pushing up against the S2, which is going to force it to retreat and pretty much heal up. The Soviets are lacking engineers, though, where they've only got 1 squad, which is a bit of an issue for them. Nice Grenadier usage, using them in heavy cover to destroy the Partisan tank hunters. We have a Tiger being built by Austin Powers, which is going to be helping him out greatly because in his rush to just smash into the defenses of the enemy on the right side, he has pretty much destroyed his entire army because of his own reckless assaults. The one major advantage that the Axis do have is attritional, because they have all of the points on their side of the map that are cashed up with fuel and munitions, but they've only, the Allies have only gotten 1 munitions cache by Drunk Richard, which is not even complete. He was, looks like his engineers were destroyed, either capping or they just went to do something else and they got killed, and now he cannot complete the fuel cache or the munitions cache. Barbecue going for another Panzerwerfer. In my opinion, he should be waiting for the Tiger. Right now, what the advantage of the Germans is heavy vehicles, and the greatness of the Great Depulso going for Jaeger Armor Doctrine for the nice just line of sight increases that he's got from the Doctrine. But interestingly enough, not going for an Elephant. I agree completely with this decision, because the Elephant is not good on this map. There's just too many line of sight blockers that help out the enemy in flanking it, which would be a very big detriment to the Elephant's success. Now, the Panther over here that he's going for, the 2 Panthers, will be really useful against this Jackson and this Easy-8, if he can use some flanking maneuvers correctly. But he will have to watch out for the rifleman blob of the allies. Now, the main issue, in my opinion, is the fact that the greatness of the Great Repulsor should at least be going for one Panzer Werfer. Now, these Panzer Grenadiers completely destroying the Su-85 in one hit. Nice burst damage on it. The Tiger is attempting to destroy the right side. There is a land mattress over here for the British, but the Sherman Firefly was pretty much positioned perfectly in the back to destroy this Tiger, and the Tiger is going to be spotted by the conscripts, and the Sherman Firefly will be attempting to push up and finish it off with one last round, nicely using the stolen pack gun by the British to destroy it. And the land mattress will live. We also have a Stuka strike coming in over here, and it's going to destroy the land mattress crew, denying any kind of veterancy that it had obtained, which wasn't much anyway. And not doing much else though, that's the problem. The Stuka is up to probably like 25 kills, no, 21. And 1-0 has also gone for a Jagdpanzer, which is in my opinion a mistake. Again, I think Tiger is definitely the correct decision for him. The Axis do have the advantage of general resources, so going for heavy tanks at this point is really a viable option for them. Either heavy tanks or the swarm of medium tanks, which is what the greatness of the Great Depulsor has been doing, in keeping with his name being great and also being the Great Depulsor. Now, there's a repair station on this map for both sides of the game, but it's very much in the back, so I really never use it when I play on this map, which is rarely enough. So Austin Powers' sniper is actually really impressively still alive through all this artillery fire and all this just in general carnage. Now, the Allies have been able to push up in the center thanks to the infantry superiority that they do have, because the greatness of the Great Depulsor has gone for a lot of anti-tank infantry, just like the Americans have gone, but the Soviet Maxim and conscripts have been able to keep at bay the German anti-infantry, the assault grenadiers, because they've been pretty much kept in reserve, being kept in reserve on the left side, which is a mistake in my opinion. They should be doing a lot more flanking maneuvers on this side through this sort of area. So now the greatness of the Great Depulsor will have to contend with a lot of anti-tank partisans, which means that his Panthers are going to be hard-pressed to deal a lot of damage to these pretty much agile, nimble infantry that can hop into buildings and deal a lot of damage to vehicles. So it's going to be a problem for him. On the right side, we do look like the Allies have managed to solidify their control. The S2 is still alive with 9 kills. We have a Katyusha from Sir Lancelot, so he has been able to tick up to tier 4, which is really good for the Allies on the right side, as they do need that extra late game power that Soviet tier 4 gives them. We have a Panzerwerfer being called down over here, it looks like. No. What was this Panzerwerfer all about? Not really doing any damage. Again, the greatness of the Great Depulsor should really be going for a Panzerwerfer at this point, and he is doing that right now, so that's really good. And then after that, he's going to have enough top cap for perhaps a Grumbear, in my opinion, would be an excellent choice, but also another Panther could be useful. Nicely using the Panthers to repel the EZ-8s. EZ-8 up to vet 2, Panther up to vet 1. These were the original units that were brought onto the field as soon as they were available, so that's really good with these medium tanks to keep them alive. The Panther at vet 2 is especially important because it receives extra armored skirts, which means that it will improve its armor capabilities fairly dramatically, which is exactly what you want with the Panther. Its strength is its armor and its speed. So the Jagdpanzer is attempting to help out his own allies on the left side, but it's going to be hard-pressed to escape alive at this point. We have the Su-76 attempting to push up, but the Jagdpanzer doesn't really have any gun, so the Jackson is going to be able to snipe it easily. We have a nice push on the right side by the German infantry, but they will be in a crossfire of doom by these machine guns and this S2. So right now, pushing up the German infantry over here is perhaps one of the worst decisions they could have made. So perhaps gathering up a push over here for this right side of the map would have been a much better choice for the Germans on this side. And the push in the center also makes them very vulnerable to this Katyusha, dealing heavy damage with its first barrage, getting up 8 kills and one level of vet and a half. So the Panzer Grenadiers of Panzer Strikes by the greatness of the Great Depulsor will be pushing up in the center, but they will be met by the huge odd concentration on this side. The Jacksons, though, the Jackson and the EZ-8 are pretty much unmanned. He will see this danger and reman his Jacksons. Perhaps he will also attempt to run over the infantry with one of his tanks. which is what I would have done. And the Panzer Radius and Panzer Trucks are able to destroy the Jacksons, sniping it, and also getting out scot-free, not even losing one squad. Some partisans have been called in, and we're attempting to counter these Panzer Grenadiers, but the partisans will be hard-pressed to not die from this Tiger, and they will have to retreat. So another Raketenwerfer out of the OKW, which is definitely good because, well, it's actually definitely bad because he will be under fire of a lot of artillery on long-range, high-explosive fire, such as this Su-76, which is suiciding, and the Katyusha and the S2. So the Raketenwerfer, not really the best choice for him. In my opinion, a better choice for his manpower would have been to save it up and go for a King Tiger. Again, King Tiger really what he needs right now. So 1-0 Stuka is up to 35 kills, which is really good. But other than that, he's been playing fairly recklessly with all of his units, so I would suggest improving his unit preservation very greatly. The greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooor has been holding off a lot on getting out his Panzerwerfer, but now that he does have his Panzerwerfer, he will be able to easily counter the where's the retreat point? I really don't see the American retreat point anymore. Oh, it's over here. Looks like he was rightfully so afraid of any kind of attack on his retreat point over here, so he's pulled it back a little bit, which was a good choice. As the Germans are able to right now push with their Tigers and Panthers through the center, and there's pretty much not much the Allies have to destroy them, the heavy tanks. And with the support of the Panzer Grenadier Horde and the Assault Grenadiers, they will be able to easily push up through this sort of narrow area, which does favor the German heavy tanks as they are harder to flank. Of course, what the Allies are also lacking is medium armor. They do have 2 EZ-8s, which is really good, but the Soviet player is lacking medium tanks, and he's gone for Su-85s. He's also got a lot of fuel that he's not using. This is partially because he went for partisans, which are a very manpower-intensive doctrine. So the Panthers are going to be stacking up with each other and shrugging off the pack howitzer rounds that are being fired at them. Pack howitzer, or rather mortar. Yeah, that might have actually been just a mortar. Not sure where the pack howitzer went. There were 2 pack howitzers and I've lost track of them about 20 minutes ago. So the Axis are attempting to push on the right side, but the Panther will hit a British mine, which is placed over here. Very good placement of the mine. And the Sherman Firefly will finish it off, but the Sherman Firefly is in big trouble as the artillery will take it out to very low HP, and the Panzer Grenadiers and Panzer Trucks are going to be chasing it. Now, unfortunately for the Soviet player, it looks like most of his infantry was forced to stay back because of the beleaguered state of it, with lots of reinforcements needed. Unfortunately for the Germans, though, the EZ-8s are all repaired. Nice flank by the Panzer Grenadier is going to be destroying the Katyusha, and also the Su-85 is going to be very hard pressed to live at this point. We also have the huge flank on the EZ-8s. We have a white phosphorus barrage being called down on the Panzer Grenadiers, and they will wisely retreat out of the way before they can sustain any high damage. The partisans should have been throwing a grenade in the retreat path of this blob. That would have done a lot of damage, if not even wiped one of the units. But it doesn't look like the infantry push by the Germans has managed to get the Allies in disarray at this point. The one shame is the fact that the tanks were not following. If the Panthers had been following the Panzer Grenadiers, the greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooooor would have been able to easily destroy all this Allied armor, but now he will be hard-pressed to keep his Panthers alive, and they will be destroyed by the huge amount of anti-tank capabilities that the Allies have at this point. We have a nice smoke barrage being used by the mortars over here of Drink Richard. We do have the Elephant out of the greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooor, which will definitely help out in dealing with the Jacksons and the SU, even though the SU is, I believe, dead. Yeah, no, the SU is alive. It was the Katyusha that died. Again, the Elephant will be a counter to that, but in my opinion, going for more Panthers would have been a better choice, especially using flanking maneuvers. The Panthers would have been a superior choice. So on the right side, the Germans haven't really been having much success, and the Allies have been able to get a lot of more vehicles, but unfortunately, thanks to the fact that the Germans have been using artillery well on the left side, it's pretty much been preventing the Allied usage of fuel, thanks to the fact that they were bleeding a lot of manpower off the Allies. At the same time, the Soviet player has also been bleeding manpower because of the fact that he's been also being hit with a lot of artillery by 1-0, and On the right side, the British have been pretty much just sitting by, defending the fuel points. And one problem for the Allies is the fact that they do lack infantry to push the VPs. They are down to 83 VPs, and the Germans have regained control of the VP lead after a very brief moment where, thanks to the smoke barrage, the Soviets had been able to capture this left side VP. So what right now the Allies really need to be doing is focusing all their infantry in a big push on these two left side VPs, but unfortunately there's a lot of German vehicles at this point that are ready to defeat them. We do have a nice marked vehicle going on from Drink Richard, and the Tiger will hit a mine with the marked vehicle on, so that will deal a lot of damage to the Tiger, and the Tiger is in very, very big trouble as the HP on it is very low. And unfortunately for the Allies though, pretty much both of the sides are covered for the Tiger, the left side by infantry and the right side by the Elephant and Panther. So the Germans have decided to focus more on the center and the left, which is an excellent choice as they will never be able to defeat the British encampment on the right side, but they will definitely be able to hold on to the VPs for long enough to win the game, in my opinion. The VP lead that they have accrued means that they can just hold on to the 3-2 VP lead, and use that nice flank by the Panzergrenadiers, using the Elephant also as a fire support, pretty much being the spawning unit for the Elephant, which will allow them to destroy one of the X-285s and help out his own ally in relieving pressure on the left side. It doesn't look like a machine gun 50 cal is attempting to capture the point, but they will be wiped by a Panzerwerfer, and they will have to be recruited by Drink Richard's combat engineers. But it does look like it will be recruited by an assault grenadier squad, which is up to Vet 3 by Barbecue. Barbecue has a lot of manpower, and he's waiting for the Tiger pop cap, so that's why he's not using the manpower. He should honestly though just buy an extra Pioneer squad to keep his tanks prepared. Now we also have the Elephant being chased by a lot of Soviet anti-tank squads, and the Stug E will pay the price for it. Stug E with 17 kills are going to be destroyed. Very unfortunate for the Germans, but the Germans have managed to push up on the right side thanks to the shift to the center that the fight has had, and the British still kind of being too campy. This is really costing the Allies the game. The British player being too campy with his Fireflies has allowed the Germans to get complete superiority over the center and the right side of the map. Whereas on the left side, the increased Allied concentration is still making itself felt. The American player has a lot of Jacksons, 3 of them, along with 2 Easy-8s, which is an excellent combo to deal with German armor. But unfortunately, also because of the fact that he went for a lot of bazookas on his riflemen, he's really he will really be hard-pressed to counter German infantry like the Panzergrenadiers, the Panzerschrecks of the greatness of the great DEPULSOOOOOOOOOR, who does have the pretty majestic blob of 4 Panzergrenadiers with Panzerschrecks. That's 8 Panzerschrecks to pretty much smash any kind of Allied vehicle in one hit. So, nice Panzerwerfer out of him. Now, the Panzerwerfer that he does have hasn't been too successful because, in my opinion, he has not been using it as much as he should be. I haven't seen too many barrages out of it, so that's a very big issue. And right now, the British have made a good push on the right side, capturing the right side victory point, which has allowed the Allies a little bit more free time, especially because of the fact that they also have managed to push the left side, which does manage to counter the fact that the Germans pushed in the center. So, a very much game of counter-pushing on all ends of the map. So that's allowed the Allies a bit of extra breathing space, but in my opinion, right now the Germans have managed to regain the local superiority on the left side, as the Jacksons, there may be 3 of them, but they still are pretty much outranged by the Elephant tank destroyer. So with most of the Soviet infantry in disarray and having to repair at base, the main pushing power that the Allies had against the Elephant is null and void. So right now, the German infantry will be able to be better supported by the German armor on the left side. So that will definitely help out in securing the left side victory point. And they have also managed to recapture the right side victory point as well. So the Tiger is attempting to attack it from Austin Powers. This looks like a second Tiger is on the field for Austin Powers, as I don't really remember the first one dying, but this one doesn't really have that much experience, so I'm guessing this is a new Tiger. New S2 also coming out on the field for Lancelot. So it looks like that died for the fight in the center when the Germans were able to push up. On the right side, a Panther was able to destroy the land mattresses with the support of the Stuka, which is up to Vet 4 and 50 kills, does have access to incendiary rounds to destroy the British emplacements if they do come up. Again, now, freaky lucky bot, okay, whatever, friend. I mean, you got destroyed by 2 Sherman Fireflies, if you realize that. Pretty much one of the best tank destroyers in the game. So, there's a lot of German tanks on the left side, but not too much German infantry because the White Phosphorus has managed to destroy a lot of the HP on these units, and I'm not sure why Barbecue isn't freeloading off of the greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOOR great medic bunker of doom. Now, in my opinion, the greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOOR, you should be taking a page out of your namesake, because as the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOR always says, always build the medic bunker in the center of the base so you can reinforce from both players. Okay? That was a poor imitation of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOR's voice, but that's pretty much it as a tactic. You just put the medic bunker over here where this tier 4 structure is by Barbecue, so the medics will automatically go to both sides to heal up. So your ally doesn't really have to do this to get your troops healed up. So we have the huge anti-tank blob gonna be making yet another flank through this area. You'd have thought that at this point the Allies would have learned, but at this point the Jacksons are in a very bad spot and they will be pretty much smashed. One of them is already dead, and there's another Easy 8 going down from the Elephant and Tiger combo. Looks like also target weak point was used by the Elephant. No, it was just a random stun on the Easy 8. Kind of lucky, but also it would have died anyway. The second Tiger over here by Barbecue is pretty much just waiting here in ambush. Pretty much whoever turns the corner over here will take a lot of damage because of the SCU and the Tiger. But it doesn't look like the Allies do have the control of the point, at least for now. But there is a nice flank coming in from the greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOOR's Panther, who will be able to pretty much deal a lot of damage to the Allied units that are not expecting this. Run them over. No, why aren't you running them over? But he will be hit by an anti-tank grenade, so he's kind of in trouble with his Panther. We also have a IS-2 over here attempting to push up on the flank of the Germans, but it will be repulsed by the Tiger and the Elephant. Tiger and the Elephant, pretty much really good combo, of course, but IS-2 will be in a very, very bad state. Bounce, it will have to retreat. It will be able to retreat fairly safely, but again, in my opinion, nice comment out of Hold the Line, but again, Hold the Line is doing just that, holding the line, but he should be doing more. He should be pushing the line a little bit, getting a lot of pressure down on Wano would be excellent because he doesn't really have any units. He's been pretty much allowed to just throw his units on the right side and die at the wall of Hold the Line, or rather the line of Hold the Line, and in my opinion, Hold the Line, had he counter-pushed any time, made a counterattack, he would have smashed Wano's stuff, and he would have pretty much destroyed all of his tech structures and allowed himself to capture the right side point for pretty much the entirety of the game. Now, you have a Stuka strafing run, anti-infantry on the left side, which will allow the German vehicles to be pretty much unafraid of the anti-tank grenades. We also have a Lag Phosphorus barrage over here by ProPopulus, who has still rebuilding his vehicle army, but again, he will need to use his EZ8s correctly, and the way I envision correctly being is when you see the Panther blob, you get all of your EZ8s and you run it over. That's pretty much the only thing you can do right now with the EZ8 blob, because otherwise the Panther blob will stop at range, destroy one tank at a time, whereas if he does go for the running over, yeah, sure, one tank will die, but the entire blob will die too. Whereas if he didn't go for the running over, he just get a couple of pot shots with the EZ8s and deal a little bit of damage, but not too much. So, looks like the Kashusha, or the Panzerwerfer, almost destroying the entirety of the blob. And again, this is what I'm talking about. Look, you're staying at range, and you're taking a few pot shots at the blob with the greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOR. But the greatness of the Great DEPULSOOOOOOOR pretty much says, fuck you, I don't give a shit, and destroys one of your vehicles and retreats. Now, the rest of the blob that is still alive, thankfully he didn't mass retreat, because that would have been a really bad moment to mass retreat. He can still do some good damage with his Panzer Grenadiers, also nicely using his Tigers, his allies' as Tiger, to do a lot of damage to the enemy. This pretty much engagement is going terribly for the allies. We have a Panther moving in way too close and being anti-tank grenaded into the next, pretty much the next dimension by the partisans, and this is pretty much a very chaotic engagement. But the Tiger looks like it's going to go down from the Panzergrenadiers and from the Panzerschrecks of the partisans. So it does look like the Germans will lose the engagement, but we do have the second wave over here, which is the Panther, and the Panzerwerfer again not really being used. If a Panzerwerfer had been used on all the partisans, this engagement would have gone way differently. But the second wave from Austin Powers and the Greatest of the Great Force will easily be able to run over whatever is left of the Allies. Unfortunately, Austin Powers moving on the left will make it so the Soviets, who are much more, who aren't very aggressive, but they're much more aggressive than hold the line over here. And we have a nice sneaky Raken. Okay, I'll finish the sentence. It will allow the Soviets to push up on the Wano's tech structures. Now, there's also a nice sneaky Raken by Wano, not even on Cloak. It's just going to sneak past all the Soviet units and go for the capture on the top right corner's victory point. Of course, the Germans are winning by victory points anyway. Half-build munitions cache will go down. And again, in my opinion, the fact that the Germans did have that extra fuel cache was really instrumental in their victory, because at one point they pretty much lost the fuel point entirely, and so their fuel caches were very much instrumental in keeping up their fuel supply so that they could replenish their vehicle losses pretty much the entirety of the game without having to worry about fuel shortages. So that was a really good plan out of the Germans to get a lot of fuel caches. And also these Panzerschreck flanks that were always coming through here, in my opinion, the Allies should have learned from them and planted a few mines over here, especially Drink Record. And Drink Record with how much munitions float he had, he could have planted down a lot of mines. And also, perhaps putting down a machine gun over here would have been an excellent choice. Other mistake that the Allies made, let's go over them one by one. Did you like my Pgrens? I did like your Pgrens. Honestly though, with all the blobbing you were doing, if there was just one MG, although I'm pretty sure you know that if there had been some counter to the blobbing, you would have split them out a little bit more. But of course, with no counters being fielded by the Allies, except one Katyusha, yeah, it was not to be. Now, I'm pretty sure Drink Richard also went for a lieutenant here at some point, but I kind of missed it. And he was also producing some 50 cals, but he was sending them to the left side, which was the wrong move. Honestly, a machine gun over here would have helped them out very greatly whenever the Panzergrenadiers were going for this. So let's go over them one by one. Propopulus, good. Unit composition was good, but unfortunately, it was not the right unit composition for what he wanted to be doing. What he wanted to be doing was just getting out a lot of medium armor supported by Jacksons and flanking. But on this map, you really cannot do that. You really need to be going either all on medium armor or going for a heavy tank and supported by tank destroyers like the Germans did. So the reason why the German approach was better with the heavy tank supported by tank destroyers and a few Panthers as support was because, of course, there's a lot of really narrow alleys, so a lot of line-of-sight blockers. So if you can get around with it with a big medium tank swarm, like Propopulus could have done with all Easy-8s, then, and possibly just one Jackson or two as support, if he would have had that kind of force, he could have just attempted to make a lot of sneak attacks, flank attacks, and that would have dealt with the Elephant definitely, and also dealt with the Tigers, because once you have like 3 or 4 Easy-8s popping out of your rear armor, even if you're a Tiger, you're gonna die. Even if you're a Panther, you're gonna die. If you're a Elephant, you're gonna die. If you're all 3, you're gonna die, because you're gonna be picked off one by one if you can focus fire Easy-8s. So that's what I would have done if I was him. Either go for a heavy cavalry company to go for the Pershing, or and support the Pershing with Jacksons, or just go all out on the Easy-8s. That's what I would have done. I would have also upgraded the infantry with BARs instead of bazookas, which is a bit of a pet peeve of mine, because in my opinion the BAR is a fantastic light machine gun. After the buff, or rather the bug fix that the riflemen now gain veterancy, it is a massacre machine. when you get 2 BARs on a rifle squad, they do a lot of damage. So that would have helped out dealing with the Panzerschreck Blob and also dealing with the Assault Grenadiers out of Barbecue. Now, here, Drink Record, not enough mines. Good pick on the Partisan Doctrine. At least one of them on this map is excellent because there's a lot of buildings. But in my opinion, an earlier pick of the Partisan Doctrine would have been really good. An earlier Tier 4 would have been a good idea. In my opinion, you should have rushed for the Tier 4 instead of dibble-daddled in a few Tier 3 units, which did cost them valuable time on getting out the Katyusha, which he in the end lost to the Panzerschreck Horde, but it got, I think, like 18 or 19 kills while it was alive. So in my opinion, also going for another Katyusha and playing a lot more safely with them, going for 2 Katyusha and playing safely with them would have been a better option than going for 1 Katyusha and getting out a lot of SUs. In my opinion, SUs are definitely the superior choice to T-34-76s on this map, but getting out too many of them, especially when the enemy is going for a lot of Panzer Grenadiers and Panzerschrecks, not too great of a decision. Now, Sir Lancelot, very good doctrine selection in my opinion. Shock Rifle Frontline Tactics, again, really good on this map because of the S2. The S2 and the KV-8 are excellent on maps like this, where there's a lot of laning, a lot of needing just heavy frontline units that you need to soak up damage with. And using the SU-76s and later SU-85s to support them was a really good choice. In my opinion, Sir Lancelot played the best out of all the allied players, especially with the usage of support weapons he had. And also he was the more versatile of the allied players. He was switching around from pretty much one end of the map to the other, although he didn't really reach the left side. The left side is not too important. He did reach up to about here with his own units sometimes, which is where all the important things are, where you need to be reaching. So good on his teamwork as well, because in my opinion, while the 2 players on the left side over here, Populous and Drink Record, did cooperate with each other, they didn't really cooperate with the rest of the team. And especially the last player over here, Hold the Line, not really cooperating with anyone. He really didn't do much. He took control of the fuel points and this one victory point for most of the game. He also managed to harass this point a few times, and he pretty much had a lot of waves of Germans crash into his line, and he held it, but he didn't push after it when you need to be just like not completely defensive. You need to be at least reactionary in a posture that's reactionary, as in the enemy charges you, then you react after the attack has taken place, and you take something from them when they're weaker and their units are retreating. Well, what Hold the Line did was even less than reactionary. It was pretty much just stationary. He was a sloth. He was just standing around, receiving the blows of the Germans, and then not counterattacking. So that was just a really bad thing for the Allies to have that player with his own valuable units that were veteran up, just sitting around and not doing anything. And that pretty much contributed to them being outnumbered 4 against 3 in the rest of the map. Now, 1-0 over here. No, actually, let's go Austin Powers first. Austin Powers also going for a lot of Panzer Grenadiers and Panzerschrecks, and also stealing some bazookas as well. He lost a lot of infantry earlier on, but in my opinion, his main mistake was not going for more Opel Blitzes. Getting a few Opel Blitzes out earlier would have been a good idea, but this is actually good out of him. He went for fuel caches instead of Opel Blitzes, which is a good choice because they're the same cost, but the fuel cache also provides the resources to your allies. And I believe the resource bonus is the same. So if you don't really need extra resources, then you should go for the fuel cache all the time, as in a 4v4, it will provide 4 times the resources as a Opel Blitz, as the Opel Blitz gives pretty much 1/4 because it only gives it to you, and there's 4 players on the team. So 4 times as many resources, 4 times the value of that manpower. Really good choice out of him. Now the Tigers that he played with, the second one, I'm pretty sure this is the second one. Let me see. Yeah, this is the second one. The second one did better than the first one, getting 13 kills after that one. I believe the first one died without me even realizing it because it died so so fast or so quickly. Choose one. Wano. Oh Lord Wano. First off, what the fuck is your name supposed to mean? Where are you from, friend? Profile. Where is your profile? Oh well, Steam loads up. Let's see all the units he lost. He lost 5 Jaeger squads, 2 Folk Grenadiers, 3 Storm Piles, 2 support guns, or rather 1 support gun, recruit, lost it again, 2 Panthers, a Panzer IV, a Lux. God, the only redeeming quality of him was the Stuka, which got 63 kills. Other than that, he really needs to work on his unit preservation, and also not building Panzer IVs late game. Honestly, oh, am I stupid? Yeah, I am stupid. That's why the Austrian last video had the this skin, because it was an OKW Austrian. Oh, am I so stupid? Okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? And of course the OKW ones have different uniforms. Okay, just sorry, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, go watch the last video. There was an Austrian with who had a crew member who with this skin, and I'm like, but the crew members of the Wehrmacht look different. If I can, no, what? Do they all look the same? They changed it. I remembered a different guy being over here with like a gray uniform with a hat. I don't know, really weird. Okay, talking about Wano, going for Panzer IV's late game is a bad choice because you could be building better units with your fuel. Now, Panzer IVs are not too terrible if you can get them vet up to vet 5 and you can get like a spam of them, but in general, 1 Panzer IV is not going to do much late game. Now, the Greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooooor. Good choice on getting a lot of Panzer Grenadiers or Panzer Shreks to counter the heavy tank destroyer build of the Allies. Bad, not going for a Panzerwerfer earlier, and also not using your Panzerwerfer as much as you should have once you did have it. Definitely this was a big mistake that could have cost you more if the Allies had a better infantry force. Another problem was the fact that he was kind of wasteful with his Panthers earlier on. And also not getting out a better Grenadier force could have been a mistake if you hadn't gone for so many Panzer Grenadiers. I would have told them to just be a little bit more aggressive considering his how much resource float he had, but he was being just as aggressively he was playing just as aggressively as he should have been. So I really don't fault him for playing as yeah, he played aggressively, so there's really no fault on him for floating. In fact, good job on keeping your units alive. When you have these huge blobs with a lot of artillery, it's really easy to lose units. Good on that. His own ally over here, Barbecue, he was also a bit too defensive on his side, and that's a bit of a bigger crime than Hold the Line, because his side is much less important than Hold the Line side. But at the same time, he was also a lot more flexible than Hold the Line. He did also send his units to help out his ally in need. He lost, I believe, 3 Tigers. Did he lose 3 Tigers? Maybe 2. 1? Are you kidding me? This is the 2nd Tiger. Oh yeah, right, because the first one had a lot of vet. So unfortunately, losing his Tiger in the end. He's also gone for a lot of Stug E's, which I don't agree with. 1 Stug E is fine in the early to mid game, but later on, these vehicles become more of a liability than a use. Going for a Broom Bear instead of 2 Stug E's would have been a better choice. His Panzerwerfer performed much better than the Greatness of the Great Depulsooooooooors, but perhaps another Panzerwerfer would have been good, as he does have a lot of pop cap to use. He also conserved his infantry fairly well, but in my opinion, a few more infantry squads would have been good, especially some Grenadiers would have been good out of him to control the Allied infantry a little bit long range. So, that was a lot of talking. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the cast. I hope you learned something from it, and I'll see you soon.